Right, let's talk Spurs now, and Roberto De Zerbi's reign as Spurs boss started with defeat at Sunderland. They are now 2 points behind West Ham as their relegation fears deepen. Clinton, the stats don't make for good reading. 106 days since their last win. I'll be honest, when I heard that over the weekekend, I had to Google it because I was like, what? That is incredible.
They haven't won in 2026.
No calendar win this year. 1 point from a possible 24. That is wild. What did you make of the performance yesterday?
I don't even know if I saw any positives. The only positives I've seen is that he was playing players in the right position. So he was playing Gallagher in the midfield and not on the right-hand side, and Doggy was playing as a left-back. But I didn't see much positives, to be fair. And if they'd come away with a point, it'd bit your hand off. But to me, it only looked like there was one team. And yeah, Mukiele gets lucky here. I don't think the shot's going in. It takes a big deflection of Mickey van der Ven and Ron Fortskinski, who had actually a decent game, made a big save for Bobbery in the first half. So, but that's just the way it's going for Tottenham at the moment. But I'm not seeing a lot with Tottenham. I don't understand. Where's the characters? Where's the leaders? Mickey van der Ven, we talk about him being one of the best players. Where are you saying to your teammates, come on, let's keep it going? The only one who was really saying stuff is the manager, De Zerbi, when he's like, keep going. But inside, he must be really burning and wants to say what he wants to say, but he can't say that to these players because they're fragile at the moment. They're not good enough, as you just said, you've highlighted there. They haven't won a football match in ages. And their next 2 games, if they don't get nothing in the next 2 games, I'm going to say it, they will be relegated. They have to beat Brighton and they have to beat Wolves. If they don't beat Brighton or Wolves, they're going to get relegated because they're on such low form and have no confidence whatsoever. I've been in situations like this, but the thing is we had a great togetherness. Our team was good and we had leaders and we had characters and we got out of the position, and that's what you got to have. I don't think they have that. I don't think they have that. I think they've got a manager who could get them out of trouble, but I don't think they have the players that can do it at this precise moment. I'd be burning if it was me. I'd absolutely be burning in that change room. I'd have some harsh words to say. They might not like me, but I know I don't want it on my CV about getting relegated. And I don't know if some of these players care enough.
Clinton said there they might have got the manager who can get them out of this. Did we see a change in style? De Zerbi's first game in charge?
Well, I think there's 3 things you're kind of looking for from an impact from the manager. Performance levels, did they go up? Marginal, maybe.
I agree, yeah.
How do they respond to setbacks? They didn't look great when they went behind in the game. And then you're also looking for commitment, and that's been questioned. And I think, again, that was okay. It was there, I think, in that game against Sunderland. But if you're looking at the main question regarding De Zerbi was, is he going to adjust the way he plays from what we saw when he managed Brighton to what we see now with Spurs? So we're looking at his per game stats on the left for when he was the Brighton manager, and then we're looking at Spurs on the right-hand side against Sunderland this weekend. Now, obviously, 1 game, small sample size, I get it. But if we're looking at particularly passes, right? So they've halved the number of passes, but I guess maybe they're away from home. Difficult place to go. Maybe that's part of the game plan. Interesting possession way down, so they're not wanting to dominate the ball, or they didn't particularly want to dominate the ball. Percentage of passes long. Now, that is a significant increase. That's like an 88% increase from 6.7 up to 12.6% in terms of the percentage of passes that went long. They also went a bit more direct. So direct attacks is where the ball moves forward towards the opposition goal from inside your own half and ends in a touch in the opposition box or a shot, and that went up as well. Did they want to press high? Well, high turnovers were kind of halved from what he was achieving at Brighton, from what he did in that first game against Sunderland. And obviously we know that Spurs still wanted to play out from the back, and they were caught high turnovers against. 8.8 when he was at Brighton, and they lost the ball 8 times in a high turnover against Sunderland. I think we did see Spurs want to go long a little bit more, but maybe they didn't get around the second balls enough. And I think the question marks were, was De Zerbi going to go low block, long ball to try and at least shore things up a little bit? Saw a little bit of signs of that, but I think still improvements to go. And the question is, if performance levels went up only marginally, is that enough? Is that enough to get them out of the hole they're in?
Just worth saying as well, if you missed it earlier, the news broke about an hour ago. We did talk about it at the start of the Premier League show, but their captain, Romero, has been ruled out for the rest of the season. It feels like things are sort of going from bad to worse for Spurs, really. Clinton, I guess the big question is then, are they going down? Because you look at history, only Derby in 2008, Sunderland in 2003, Swindon in 1993 have had longer winless runs to actually start a calendar year. All three of those were relegated.
Yeah, if they lose to Brighton and Wolves, they're going down. Yeah, they are going down. They're going to go down. They're not... All the other teams in and around them are getting results and they have a bit of momentum. Forest against Villa. People could say, Villa deserve to win it, but Forest have got that fighting spirit. They've got X-factor players and they're delivering. West Ham as well against Wolves wasn't the best game, but West Ham come away winning 4-0. Nuno says there's a smile around the place. We didn't have a smile around the place because you're winning football matches. Tottenham now will go into training tomorrow. There'll be no smiles there. Everyone, the chins will be on the ground, and that's why you need the manager, De Zerbi, to pick them up and get them going. But he can only take them to a certain amount. The damages was done from Tottenham ages ago, and also when they brought in Igor Tudor, and maybe people will say when they brought in Thomas Frank as well, was that a gamble? Did he have the respect to the players? De Zerbi's got the respect to the players, I think, at this moment in time. But it could be too little, too late, because those players are broken at the moment. There is some talented players in there, but they're not delivering at the moment. They look like they're broken. They look like they're scared to make passes. Archie Gray's been outstanding, and for me, he's been one of their best players. I saw it on the touchline yesterday. De Zerbi, he tried a long pass. De Zerbi said shorten it up, because he wants his teams to play like at Brighton. But the problem is the Tottenham players are not used to it. So to go in there in that short space of time and change it just like that, it's going to take a lot of time. So at the moment, that's why I think they're banging trouble, Tottenham. Next season, they could be playing championship football, because where's the win coming from? I'm looking at it and thinking, where's the creativity? You showed a list earlier. All the creativity that Tottenham have are basically injured. And also, Xavi Simons, you pay big money for him. De Zerbi brings him on for 4 or 5 minutes, and you start with 3 up front. I get you're trying to attack and go forward, but Richarlison's not good on the left, and Kolo Muani can't really play on the right.
Well, time is running out, isn't it? But we start with that big breaking news in the last hour, and Tottenham captain Christian Romero will miss the rest of the season with a knee injury. Clinton, it feels that it never rains, it pours, doesn't it? It certainly feels like that for Tottenham at the moment. I mean, just how big a blow is that to them?
No, it's a big blow. He's missed a lot of football this season through suspension and a few injuries, but you kind of knew on the weekend how much of a big blow, and the injury was bad when you're coming off the pitch and you're crying. And I think that's because he's going to miss the whole of the season, and also he thinks now he's going to miss the World Cup for Argentina, which every player, when you're growing up, wants to be involved in a World Cup and wants to be part of a World Cup. You even see players now not going in full-heartedly because they don't want to get injured for the World Cup. So as soon as he went down, I thought to myself, that's a bad one, because Christian Romero's tough and he don't go down, and it's a huge blow for Tottenham. It's also a huge blow for Argentina. You wish him all the best. It's going to be difficult, because I know players that have been in situations like that where you want to help your team, you want to help your country. But yeah, I think it was his landing and the way he collides with Kinski. And you can see, you never want to see a player like that, how distressed he was. So you wish him all the best. Hopefully he comes back, and he will come back because he's a strong character. But it's a huge blow for Tottenham and Argentina as well.
Yeah, felt bad, didn't it, when you saw those scenes of him in tears, and distressing for him, really, Dave. But for Spurs, it's yet another injury. Yeah,
I mean, to add to a long list this season, really, but not just Romero for Roberto De Zerbi. He's also lost Mohamed Kudus for a significant period as well, who suffered a setback. But at the moment, Spurs have 9 players out injured. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it is, but it's not actually the most they've had out at any point during the season. I think they've had around 12 or 13 out at one point during this campaign. But there are 9 players currently out that Roberto De Zerbi is having to cope without. Christian Romero, the latest there, but Basuma Kudus, as I mentioned, Vicario still recovering at the moment, Davies Bentancur, the 2 big attacking ones in Maddison and Kulusevski, and also Wilson Odobert as well. And the main issue for Romero, and Clinton touched on it there, has been getting him on the pitch. Whether it's injury or suspension, a lot of people will say, well, Christian Romero is the best player that Spurs have. But if they're not getting him on the pitch, then he can't impact the team.
We'll talk more about Spurs a little bit later, but it just feels like it just adds a whole nother layer. It's just, for them, pouring more misery on the current situation at the club.
Yeah, definitely. And you can't afford, I know we're going to talk about Spurs and what happened later on, but you can't afford to lose key players like that. the list there's about 5 of the players that would be regulars that they're missing, and they don't look like they're going to be back anytime soon. The only one who might be back from the end of the season is James Maddison. But you can't expect James Maddison to pull up trees. He's had a big cruciate injury, but they need something very fast, Tottenham. But yeah, these injuries are not good. Kudos could miss the World Cup as well, because I think, as Dave alluded to, he's had a setback as well. It's not good, and Tottenham have been very unlucky with injuries this season. I know people say people can make excuses. They've had a lot of injuries this season. But I know we're going to talk about it later. The squad still should be in a better position than it is.
Yeah, we will talk about it later. Plenty more Spurs predicament. Because it felt like everything that probably could have gone wrong over the weekend did. The fact that, of course, they lost at Sunderland, but also other teams around them are showing fight, the likes of West Ham and Nottingham Forest as well. Are Spurs going down?
You know what? After the game, it was probably the first time I've ever felt like, yes. I think throughout this season, I've thought Spurs can't go down.
Yeah.
You know, they'll sort it out. They'll get there eventually. There's definitely 3 worse teams in this league than Tottenham. But it's where they are mentally. You know, how long they've gone without a result. You know, other teams are picking up things. It keeps you going. You go into the training ground the next day, there's a bit of a buzz, there's a bit of a bounce. And that happens in every league. I know from sort of watching my son's team, Wigan, now, near the bottom of League One, everyone starts picking up points when you get late in the season. Tottenham aren't. And nearly every team fighting relegation in this country right now will have an upturn in form of something. Something will happen. They'll get going. They'll get pick up a few points maybe you don't expect. Tottenham aren't, and the others are. So we're going to have a little look at sort of what De Zerbi did initially, but also look at what I think has been a real problem area for Tottenham right throughout the season, which has been central midfield.
Jamie, thank you. Right, we'll have more from Jamie on...
Dismal display from them in the Premier League. They were beaten 1-0 by Sunderland on Super Sunday in Roberto De Zerbi's first game in charge. The result leaves Spurs in the relegation zone, 2 points from safety. They're still yet to win a league game in 2026. Our reporter Michael Bridge has joined us on set, but former Tottenham manager and player Tim Sherwood is here still, of course. Tim, is there any hope left for Spurs?
Yeah, totally. I think they can win next week at home to Brighton. It's almost a bigger game for Tottenham as it is for Arsenal next week. If they win next week, I mean, Roberto said after the game it's all about a win. You need a win. And I agree with him. I think it is just about that, because we talked about confidence at the top of the league. You need confidence at the bottom even more so. And when they do, this group of players should not be in a relegation battle. Yes, they're not good enough to why they were brought into the club. I mean, the objectives would have been to challenge for the Champions League. They're nowhere near that. Let's get that right. But they're capable of staying in the league. But on the evidence of what we've seen, they're not. Because there's some ingredient is missing, and that's character. That's what's underneath the shirt. Forget about the pretty patterns, what they can do in training or whatever, the ability they have. It's about the mentality and the heart. And at the moment, they're void of that. I'll tell you, we saw Michael Dawson in that clip there. Yeah, standing next to Johan Langer. He should be on the pitch, Michael Dawson. Someone with his character is what they're missing at the moment. It's right, these centre-halves, what they got, very good centre-halves, possibly looking to get away from the club at the end of the season. Romero there crying as he's coming off the pitch. Irresponsible. Couldn't trust him as far as you could throw him. Captain of the club. Throwing the club under the bus time and time again this season. And you got Mickey van der Ven, who for me has got all the attributes to be a top draw player, but plays for himself. You need characters in this situation. Look at West Ham, who are a team who are pulling some results together. Disasi, Mavropanos, like 2 rocks at the back there at the moment. They're putting their head on everything, putting their bodies on the line, staying where they are, not trying to embroider it and do whatever they want. They've got Souček there who's tackling everyone, blocking things. At the moment, I still believe they can do it, Tottenham. I don't know what gives me that belief. Perhaps my heart is ruling my head.
Michael, in terms of the pressure of the relegation battle, is it showing? Because Tim's mentioned Romero, when he went off injured, he was crying. Van der Ven was crying at the end of the game. I think
the fans have been crying for 3 months or longer.
So is the pressure getting to the players as well as the fans?
I think Romero is probably crying because he probably fears the worst with his own injury. I think players often know, don't they? I mean, we might find out today there's talk of a potential MCL. That's quite a wide-ranging interview, whether and what severity it is. But look, he's an experienced player. He's probably fearing the worst, maybe missing Tottenham season, potentially the World Cup. It's just that now they're in the bottom 3, and it was coming. You can't keep relying on other teams to lose when you lose week after week after week. They have not won a league game this calendar year. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't acceptable last season, but Spurs and Man United, they put all the eggs in a Europa League basket, and whoever won the trophy basically said, right, awful league campaign, unacceptable, but we've won something huge. Right, time to kick on. And they are in the bottom three. And, look, either way, this team, this squad needs a complete reset. Yeah. It needs a reset in the Premier League. Why is Mohamed Kudus getting another quad injury? Players have come back a bit early. Destiny Udogie doesn't look right. Lucas Bergwijn doesn't look right yet. They've had long-term injuries. There's no one close to coming back now. This is who they've got now, from now till the end of the season, unless any more get injured. That's my concern, and I'm now taking my work hat off, really fearing the worst, because I look at other... Leeds have got a game in hand. Forest...
So away at Man U, though?
Yeah, but... I don't... The only thing I'm clinging on is maybe Leeds will have one eye on the FA Cup semi-final.
Oh, that helps.
West Ham have got a bit about them. Yeah. Oh, look, a couple of January signings, and
Yeah.
Even City on the other end, Mark Gay, January signing, making an impact. Yeah. That was the worry, and if it could bite Tottenham on the backside that they didn't do this. Conor Gallagher hasn't done anything as of yet. Tottenham are running out of games, and I'll say it now. Then I think Saturday, if they don't win Saturday, then I do fear the worst.
Okay.
I really do.
Well, you can keep your fan hat on. We're going to speak to Tottenham Hotspur fan Chris Cowling as well there. Now, Chris, I believe you were at the game yesterday. Just picking up on what Michael just said there, he thinks if you don't beat Brighton, you'll go down. What do you think?
I think it's done. I think that Spurs are going down, and this is the reality of it. And when I was walking out of the Stadium of Light yesterday, everyone was really quiet, and everyone, I think, has just accepted that Spurs are in such a state at the moment, because we haven't won a league game now for 106 days. And when you look, Spurs have only picked up 5 points this calendar year. West Ham have picked up 18, Leeds have picked up 15, Nottingham Forest have picked up 15, and these teams seem, miles ahead of Tottenham in terms of passion, desire, and grit and determination. And it needed to be better yesterday. We've gone through 3 managers now, 4 managers in the last 11 months, and I just don't know where we go from here. The players need to give more. The players need to deliver on the pitch. Richarlison had a couple of chances yesterday. They were really tame shots. They were like back passes. It's just simply not good enough. And, where are these players? Where are the characters like Tim speaks about? What characters are going to get us out of this mess? And how many times have we kept saying what a huge game we've got coming up? And, it's a must win. It's a must win. These players aren't delivering.
Chris, Bridgie, I asked you a question. When do you start vindicating these managers? The Thomas Franks, the Postecoglou's, the Igor Tudors. We can't judge, obviously, De Zerbi at the moment. But surely we've got to look a little bit closer to Michael Dawson, where he was sitting yesterday.
Absolutely, Tim. Like I've said on this show many times, and to you, since we've moved into that brand new stadium in 2019, we've been through now 7 permanent managers, 4 caretaker managers, and, it can't carry on like this. The problems are at the top. The club need to think about selling in the summer, because we can't be in this position again. I'm not sitting here as an arrogant Tottenham Hotspur fan saying that Spurs should never be in this position, but we shouldn't. The transfer windows in recent years has simply not been good enough. And, this was coming, like Michael said earlier. This was coming last season. The transfer window in the summer needed to be better. The transfer window in the January transfer window needed to be better as well. Thomas Frank needed to go out of the door earlier on this season. The amount of decisions that we could sit here all day talking about poor decisions and things that the board have done or haven't done that have caused this mess.
But I disagree with you, though. They will win on the weekend. They will beat Brighton. They will get the confidence. They'll get the shot in the arm what they need to go and beat Wolves. And then they need to pick up one more result from somewhere else. They've got 6 games left. They need to win 50% of them games. It's very difficult when they haven't won in 26. I understand that. But they haven't had that confidence. They need that confidence. They need to score early. When they go in behind, they look like they're never going to come back. And that is down to desire. But if they can just get that first goal and then they get another one, I just think that one win, like Roberto's talking about, one win, because he knows that's the shot in the arm they need. They will win at the weekend.
Can I just read out the fixtures, all right? Because as for anyone watching who's a neutral, and I'm a neutral, okay, Brighton at home, we've just established. Then it's Wolves away, who are bottom. Villa away, okay, fair enough. Leeds United at home, who are down there as well. Chelsea away, bit of a derby, and they're not in good form. You know, don't write that one off. And then Everton at home, it depends what Everton have got to play for.
I mean...
It's not... right, I'm a neutral, I know that, all right? Lots of people at home are neutrals. That's not that bad. I think there is hope.
Right. Tim, who's Chelsea's biggest rival?
Tottenham.
Right. Battle of the Bridge Part 2, 10 years later. That's my fear. That is my fear. You know, I think Spurs need to beat Brighton, Wolves and Leeds before going to Chelsea looking at that. Because Villa, I can't see them getting anything unless Villa maybe having one eye on the Europa League. This is a question. Yeah. Is this squad capable of 3 league victories? I do agree with you, Tim. If they get a one against Brighton, then I do think it could start something. And a little bit of positive as well. De Zerbi's got another week with them. Yeah. You know, no way I'm going to judge De Zerbi on just a couple of days. I was a little bit surprised Xavi Simons didn't start, I must say. That was one thing I was surprised with.
One last word on this one, Chris. In terms of what you saw from De Zerbi yesterday, have you seen any positives there? I must admit, you know who I support. I was quite happy when I saw that Simons wasn't starting. When I saw your starting lineup, I was quite pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, well, I think Xavi Simons should have started the previous game as well against Nottingham Forest, and clearly the managers don't fancy Xavi Simons for whatever reason. But, you know, when you look at those fixtures there, you know, what is an easy game in the Premier League? An easy game in the Premier League don't exist. And, Tim, I like your optimism and I like you being positive about Tottenham and you know, hoping that we win on Saturday. But, you know, from what I've seen in recent games under multiple different managers, I just don't know where the win is coming from, and I don't know, you know, who these characters are that are going to get us out of this mess. And I'm not sitting here as a negative fan. I'm normally a very positive person in life, and especially to do with Tottenham. But, you know, at the moment, I just feel like we are in a complete mess. And, you know, let's just live in hope and pray that we can get a result on Saturday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah, OK, we've run out of time there. But, Chris, good luck for Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Tottenham Hotspur, but they're not the only club in a relegation battle. We're going to discuss that in more detail next. Right, OK, Tim, your former club, of course, in Tottenham there with defeating Roberto De Zerbi's first game in charge. I've got something here for you. Derby in 2008, Sunderland, funny enough, in 2003, Swindon in 1993. Only those clubs have had longer winless starts to a calendar year in the Premier League than Tottenham. All 3 were relegated in those campaigns. Everything seems to be against Tottenham at the moment.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the stats doesn't look good, but you can't, if you're Roberto De Zerbi, you can't think about that, and you're Tottenham players. What's gone is gone. You are where you are. You need to look forward. It was a poor result. It was poor performance yesterday. I saw Roberto say after the game it was a good game. We played a good game. We didn't play a good game. You know, let's face it, that's gone now. We've got Brighton at the weekend. It's another cup final. We talked about how important the Arsenal game is against Man City. This is more important. This is the bottom of the league. This is real pressure. And this great club at Tottenham Hotspur cannot get relegated, so they need to win. And it's all about the next win. You get the next win, you get the shot in the arm, you get the confidence, then they go and beat Wolves. And I believe they'll find another 1 win between now and the end of the season. They've got 6 games left. They need to win 50% of them games. It's a big ask when they haven't won in 26. But I believe they'll do it and starting this weekend against Brighton, his old team.
Well, when Michael Bridge was on, he said that you'd start to give him a little bit of hope with your positivity there about Tottenham. We've got some message coming in disagreeing. Davey says Tim needs to open his eyes. Spurs are the worst team in the league by a mile, while Mike says Spurs are going down, no fight in them, and the teams around them look like they are up for it. Sherwood can say the players are too good and shouldn't be in the position they are in, but they are. Yeah. They aren't good enough.
These West Ham fans they're not at work, no?
It's important they're mentioning the quality, because there are quality players at Tottenham Hotspur, but they're not showing it. Yeah. Why is that?
And they're not from this environment. They've been brought in because they believe that they'll be challenging for the Champions League. Well, they're not. Wake up. You're in it. You're in it, and you need to fight. You need to roll your sleeves up. And like I say, your ability might be quite evident. You know, on the training pitch, and De Zerbi saying, "Oh, well, the quality is fantastic," and it's about when they put the shirt on, when they step over that line, when they get the anxious crowd who are very disgruntled at the moment. demanding a result. It's not about performance now, it's about result. Get over the line. By hook or by crook, you need to win 3 points. Once they get that confidence, and then they start playing, and then you'll start unrecognising. These players will be unrecognisable once they get their first win. And I think they need that. You can't go any longer than this weekend. They play at home to Brighton. It's a great opportunity to be able to do that. If you would have said to a lot of these Tottenham players, before the season, you're going to Brighton, you're not coming to Tottenham, they would have turned their nose up, right? Now, this reality, you're in a relegation battle. You're not in the fight for the Champions League now. You're not in the fight for the Europa League. You need to pull your sleeves up now, and you roll your sleeves up and start playing with your mind, which is mentality. Be brave and start playing with your heart and fighting for that badge which is on your shirt. They need to start that now. They needed to start it months ago, but that is gone. It's about now, the here and now. Win at home to Brighton and you stay in the Premier League, in my opinion.
Right, OK, much more to come on Sky Sports FC. Next, we've actually got live training on the way. We'll be taking a look at the Lionesses preparing for their showdown with the mighty Spain at Wembley. Plus, we'll hear from Serena Peak. Our focus on the relegation battle. We've discussed Spurs, but it was a better weekend for West Ham United, who won, Nottingham Forest, who drew. Meanwhile, Leeds United go to Manchester United on Monday Night Football. Right, of the teams around them, Tim, who are Tottenham more likely to catch?
Any of them, but the problem is there's a bit of momentum certainly at West Ham, isn't there, at the moment? And Vitor Pereira, it's a point against Aston Villa yesterday. It's a point in the right direction. I think Leeds have got really tough games. I know they're going to drop in from they're at a position now where everyone would want to be in this situation because they've got the points on the board. But all of them are right in it. They're right in it. But you're going to... That don't help as well. An ex-Arsenal player scoring a couple of goals again.
And West Ham there. Are you more confident about West Ham than anyone else down there?
Well, because he's finding a way. I mean, they're playing to a formation where they're letting Fernandes play, letting Bowen play. And Somerville, who's back now. And they've got a structure based around them. So the rest of them are just trying not to lose the game and then letting the front players just go and play.
Castellanos been
I've got players like Mavropanos and Diassi have been outstanding. And Thomas Souček is a player you need. If you ask the West Ham fans now, what do you need? They will say the Somervilles and the Bowens, of course they would. And the Fernandes has been a great player, good technician. But Souček just puts his body on the line. Everything he heads out the box. I've never seen him without a black eye, the kid. He's willing to put his body on the line for the badge, for the shirt. I'm not sure Tottenham have got them characters, them players. That's what you need in this situation. Might not be the most sophisticated technical player, but who wants to grind, who wants to fight, if the fans were playing, they would play just like Thomas Souček. That is what you need, players like that.
And Forest, do you know who their next game is? Burnley at home. So that's a real chance for them. They haven't got a home win yet under Vitor Pereira, but... Burnley at home next.
Oh, it's a huge game of football, isn't it? I mean, if they don't get nothing there, there'll be doom and gloom around, the fan base. They'll say, "Oh, here we go." If we can't beat Burnley,
and this is their point yesterday.
Yeah, Williams with a fantastic strike, but after they went behind, you're thinking, "Oh, you know what? Villa might go on." I know that Morgan Rogers misses a fantastic chance in this game, but they never give up. They never give up. They just keep going because a point is everything. They're going into the game, they want 3 points. Of course they do. But a point is a step closer to where you need to be.
Yeah, exactly. And Leeds United will be hoping for something tonight. They face Manchester United on Monday Night Football. Coverage begins at 6:30.
Significant weekend at the top and bottom of the Premier League. Arsenal's lead at the top of the table was cut to 6 points following their defeat to Bournemouth, while Tottenham now find themselves in the relegation places after Roberto De Zerbi's first match in charge ended in a 1-0 defeat at Sunderland. Well, let's dissect it all with former Spurs and Nottingham Forest defender Michael Dawson. Michael, a very good afternoon to you. Spurs then now 2 points from safety, 14 games without a win in the league. Has this performance highlighted the size of the task that De Zerbi has to keep them up?
Good afternoon, Joe. Yeah, well, I think we knew the extent of the situation they're in. Roberto De Zerbi wasn't going to go in and get the magic wand and expect them just to fly up the table. They'd lost 13, not won in 13, sorry. So going in, he always had a big challenge on his hands to try and find some belief, some confidence, a style of playing. And for me, it was all about trying to simplify the game. You know, players that are lacking confidence in the situation you're in, no win since to beat Crystal Palace at the end of December. So it was always going to be a big job on his hand. And his first game yesterday, going to the Stadium of Light, a team that has been very, very good at home this season. It was never going to be easy, but I looked at that game before and thought this is an opportunity for him to go and stamp his authority, show everyone out there that he can take this challenge on and get Spurs out of the trouble. But, I mean, you saw on Friday night with West Ham winning and it put Spurs in it. So this is critical at this moment in time for Spurs, and you just look how they're going to turn that fortune round and try and find some belief.
And looking at this Spurs team, is there anything that is giving you that belief that they can avoid the drop?
At this moment in time, it's hard to look and think, what have they got? I mean, yesterday, I said on Soccer Saturday, how would he set up? What would he try and do? Try and simplify it? No, Kinski came in, who I thought did really well after that performance against Atletico, where he was brought off lacking confidence. He came in, he showed the confidence, but playing out from the back so hard. And Roberto De Zerbi's team that we know we've seen at Brighton talks about always having the ball, passing, tiring the opposition out. But Sunderland just let them have the ball. They thought, right, how are you going to score that perfect goal? And in the final third, I just thought Spurs lacked creativity. I was a little bit surprised that Tell didn't play on the left. He went with Richarlison, a little bit more solid. But you've still got to find a goal threat. Ultimately, you've got to be strong at the back, in which you see Mickey van der Ven there and Romero. They were strong. You know, that's what you would expect. Unlucky with a deflection. They could have done better. Richarlison dives in on the halfway line. Mukiele chops inside Conor Gallagher, and then they get the lucky deflection. That's what happens when you're in this situation. That's football. When you're down at the bottom, these little things don't go your way. But you can't lie down. You can't feel sorry for yourself. I listened to Mickey after the game, and he talks about you've got to have a mentality. And I've been in a relegation battle at Hull City. You know, and it's not easy to find that strength and believe that you can get out of it. But this group of players in that dressing room have to find it, because you see the other three teams that are in it, they're certainly finding it with West Ham, Nottingham Forest, and we're going to see what Leeds have going to Old Trafford tonight.
So how do they get that belief then, Michael? Because after the game, De Zerbi apologised, said that the players need to be stronger mentally. How does he help get that confidence back in the side?
You've got to turn this momentum round. The momentum is going down at this moment in time. So you have to try and find, and you turn the results round and try and find a win from somewhere. I mean, Saturday night footballer against Brighton, the fans will turn up again. We saw it against Nottingham Forest, saw the atmosphere before, but it's in the players' hands. They have to turn up, and individually, I talk about it. All you can affect is your individual performance, then that will improve collectively. But it's all well and good staying in the game. You have to try and score a goal. You've got to be creative. And I've just not seen it. Richarlison on the left, Mawani on the right. Bergvall played in the 10. I'm looking, thinking, right, could it be Xavi Simons? Poor Dominic Solanke didn't have anything to go on. He had one chance just in the first half. He works his socks off. But he's got to be given service. It's all well and good staying in the game and thinking we'll take a 0-0. And the game was in a balance. There was nothing in it. It could quite easily have been that. But it's now about winning football matches, because if they don't, they're going down. And it's unthinkable that this football club could be in the Championship.
Yeah, and I mean, you were seen at the game yesterday. We had Tim Sherwood on earlier. He said that Spurs need you in their defence. Give us a bit of insight. What is the mood like? How low is the mood around the club at the moment?
Yeah, I was at the game. I was invited yesterday. Being up, obviously, in the north, going up there and seeing how it was and seeing how Roberto De Zerbi was. You know, they realised the extent of this challenge. That's why they made the change. Whether he'd come in when Igor Tudor came in, who knows what position would have been in. But when a new manager comes in, it isn't an instant change. I mean, we talk about the manager bounce. Spurs haven't had it in, obviously, with Tudor coming in, and then yesterday with De Zerbi's first game, but he's got 6 cup finals, and that's what it is. Because you look next week, come Sunday, if they don't beat Brighton, they could be 6 points behind Leeds and West Ham and Nottingham Forest. So it's huge. It really, really is concerning, because of the run that they've been on since Christmas. No wins in 14. So that is why I'm so concerned for this Spurs team.
And what about West Ham then, Michael? Because, of course, hammered Wolves in the Friday night football to heap that pressure on Spurs. How much confidence will that result give West Ham? And do you think that they're going to stay up?
Well, if you'd have asked me probably 6, 7, 8 games ago, I'd have probably said no. And I can go back to when they played Nottingham Forest at the London Stadium and Nottingham Forest won, and you were thinking, how are West Ham going to get out of this situation they're in? And they've found some belief, and a 4-0 victory on Friday night. You listen to Jared Bowen after, they've got players in the final third. They talk about creativity in the Spurs squad. I mean, West Ham certainly have that with Bowen, Somerville, Mavropanos at the back, Disasi. They've got a resilience, and certainly at this moment in time, they've got a real togetherness, and that's what you need when you're in this situation. We're going to stay in games, and then when you've got the attacking threat, I mean, a great little touch by Pablo there to Castellanos. 2 goals in a short period of time, and they're out the bottom 3. Psychologically, that will give them a huge bonus. So, massive game at the weekend. They really, really have. They got Palace. I think it is on Sunday. So yeah, it is. So I mean, huge game. I mean, there's 4 teams for me that you're looking at: Spurs, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, and Leeds that are fighting to stay out of that last position where I think Wolves and Burnley are done and dusted.
Yeah, we saw Nottingham Forest, of course, picking up a point against Aston Villa. Do you see that as a good draw, considering the pressure that they're under?
Yeah, a brilliant point. You saw some of the chances that Aston Villa have. Certainly one from Morgan Rogers and one from Ollie Watkins. It could have been completely different. But I think on the back of Arsenal break and beating them, and then picking another point up against a Villa team that have turned their fortunes round. Good response after going behind. You've got to find that. You can't lie down. And I think Nico Williams has been outstanding this season for Forest. One of their underrated players, in my opinion. We talk about Gibbs White. We talk about Elliot Anderson. We talk about Chris Wood, who hasn't been there for 6 months. That will give them a big bonus coming back. So, yeah, I look at Nottingham Forest, the 2 in midfield in Zangari and Anderson, and I look at the 4 at the top of the field with Hutchinson, Callum Hudson-Odoi, whoever it may be, Igor Jesus, and Morgan Gibbs-White. They've got players that can unlock the door, and with the 2 centre-halves, they love defending. So you look at them, and I think Nottingham Forest will be safe, and they host Burnley at the weekend. So you're looking like I'm talking about. They could be 6 points above Spurs if they don't beat Brighton on Saturday night.